Day 8 in the works right now. They're like doing construction outside my house, and so it's super loud, and my dogs are, barking their heads off at them. So I don't know. I have to keep re-recording, and I hope this is the last time. All right, day 8. I'm just gonna take a second and settle into my heart, because that is, where I want to come from in all of this always. So let me take a minute and acknowledge the feedback that I have been getting for the past few days. I have trouble honestly verbalizing the level of emotion that your comments and your stories have brought up in me. I feel tremendously honored that, and grateful I don't know, that my words words are so powerful. They carry so much weight, and I just feel that they've hit you in the way that I want them to, or at least in the intention that I'm holding throughout this entire journey has been what's actually manifesting. I have almost been brought to tears by the messages that I've gotten. And not only am I thankful because it's helping you, but I want you to know that your validation, your sharing of the potency of this has validated for me, solidified for me that this is what I was put here to do. I've always felt like I had this storyteller quality. Number one, because I don't shut the fuck up. Number two, because even as a child, I loved to write. I loved writing poetry. I would write these short stories. I would write in my journal. I love writing letters. I always had a pen pal. It's just my way of expressing and creating. And I never thought I was creative because this flowed out of me so naturally. I didn't even know that it was like a form of creation. I always thought art and painting and music, those were creative, but writing and telling stories, that was something that just seemed so natural. So even older, like teaching yoga classes, my favorite part was the Dharma talk, because I feel like there's so much inside of me that I want to share, and this is my way of doing it. So I'm really grateful for that. The other thing that I want to address, which goes along with all of this, and like some of the comments that make me feel a little uncomfortable, is this idea of, I don't know another way to say it, but putting people on a pedestal, right? And I've done this in my own journey. I see it constantly in the yoga and the spiritual community, where we look at people and we're like, oh my God, they're so enlightened, they're so woke, they're so whatever. And it's really unhealthy. It is really unhealthy, because the truth of it is that anything that I am saying to you, if it resonates with you, it's because it's already in you. I'm helping you to remember. That's it. I am helping you to remember who you are. There's no magic in this. I am no better or more knowledgeable than you. All the wisdom that I have, you also have, just buried in there somewhere. So, and I'm not trying to play small at all or anything. I recognize my own worth. I honor my own wisdom, but I want you to do the same thing. This is not I'm not any different than you are. In fact, I have considered myself for most of my life a fuck up. And I did that for a whole bunch of reasons. One was because I was always comparing myself to other people's stories and journeys. I never felt comfortable living within society's rules, so I've always kind of done things my own way, and I've gotten a lot of judgment and shame dumped on me because of that. So as time went on and I started doing all of this work, those areas where I felt like I was a fuck up, whether it was choices that I made, good or bad, it doesn't matter, not having good enough grades, not being, pretty enough, I don't know, all these areas. When my parenting was a big one. Oh gosh. So, again, not following society's norms, always looking to color outside the lines, it's just part of who I am. Not really caring too much about other people's opinions. So I've learned after doing all of this work that was actually my strength. That ability to see life through a different lens, to do what I wanted to do regardless of the consequences sometimes that I would have to face at the end of it. The struggles that I created, they all played a role, a positive role in shaping me into who I have become. Somebody that is confident, someone who will not lower her voice or filter what she wants to say because it makes other people feel uncomfortable. That's their stuff. So, yeah, that's what I have to say about all of that and your feedback. So listen, you are perfect, imperfectly perfect, and I appreciate that you are enjoying what I'm saying and that it's resonating with you, but I also want you to know that you have all of this inside of you. Keep digging, keep clearing out the conditioned thinking. And that'll lead us right into today's topic, which is, where do I begin? Because that's something else I got a lot of yesterday. Like, okay, I get it all. I see where I'm stuck. What do I do? What's next? So, we're going to dive right into that one. This is a fun one. I think it's fun anyway. I have called this one Baby Steps, and I want to give credit where credit is due because this mantra of baby steps sort of came from a really dear friend of mine who she lost her husband also on 9/11, had young children. And we were making our way through this together. And every time one of us would fuck up, it would kind of be this she has the best sense of humor, so I can't even say it the way that she would say it, but it would always be like, oh, well, baby steps, right? And it just made everything okay, the lightness of it and the truth in that. So every time I say it, I smile. And I'm sorry I'm shaking. I'm holding this on my lap, but had to go somewhere quiet. Okay, so let me begin. When we are buried neck high in the shit, whatever shit is burying you, mine was grief, but it could be anything. It could be a breakup. It could be your weight. It could be addiction. It could be financial crisis. You name it. The universe is creative and has about 1,000,001 ways to stop us dead in our tracks. We start unlearning, we start unraveling the issues in baby steps. Small, manageable, cautious steps. I mean, if you want to learn how to snowboard, right? You start on the bunny hill. You don't head right up to the top of a black diamond, right? So let's do a quick review of what we have covered so far. We have identified our pain. We have uncovered the wide range of emotions that come from whatever the traumatic event was. We know that we are in a place that is unsustainable, and we know that it takes courage, a true sense of self, protection of our heart, and a supportive community to simply survive. But we want to thrive, right? We don't want to just move through life like in this state of not living, not actually living. And I know you're probably screaming at me, well, tell me what to do, right? Because that's what I did. I wanted to meet another woman who was my age, who had children, who had lost her husband and had survived. And I wanted her to share the game plan. I wanted the step-by-step. Well, I mean, thank God there aren't many young widows with children. They are hard to come by. So I never got that. I did have a lot of friends who lost their husbands on 9/11, and they kept me sane for sure, but we were all learning as we went along. It was definitely a club that we didn't want to belong to, but we couldn't have lived, without each other. And when I say lived, like literally lived. So there are tools available that you can use, and I'm going to share some of mine, but I need you to keep in mind that we're all individuals who have different life experiences, different cultures, different ways of living. So what works for me might not necessarily work for you, and that is okay. The important part is this: never stop looking or trying new things. Your old ways of coping will most likely not be enough, and they might even be detrimental. So like I told you, I am really good at dissociating when I get uncomfortable. And this is not a way to live your life detached, right? It might help you in the moment. And again, we do what we have to do. But if you want to thrive, like that is not going to help you, because when you numb pain, you also numb your ability to experience joy. That's just my example. I mean, whatever it is that you have learned to do to survive experiences in your childhood, they usually aren't super helpful in adulthood. They serve a purpose, and then we have to learn new ways. So be open-minded, be brave, experiment, get out of your comfort zone. I cannot say this loud enough. I cannot say this enough times, because that is where all the magic happens, right? If you aren't willing to change habits, if you aren't willing to confront fears or try something new, nothing is going to change. It'll be like riding the merry-go-round. The scenery changes a bit as you go around, but eventually you end up right back where you started. We want to be like hikers. I like that analogy because I love to hike. But you start off in one place and you end up somewhere else where the view is breathtaking and new. And you learn as you go what you need, what you need to take with you, what is unnecessary, what's just heavy weight, what's taking up space. We become adaptable, we become strong. And when we peer down from the summit, we're shocked. We're shocked at how high we've climbed, how far we've come. So that's what we're shooting for, right? That's what we want to be like. Any good hike begins with the decision to go. Say yes. Say yes if you feel the slightest inclination to do something, even if you're scared. I mean, like, especially if you're scared, because that means you're going out of your comfort zone. I mean, now, obviously, if your gut is screaming, no, 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 that's a different type of sign, and you have to listen to that. But when you have that littlest whisper, like, maybe this is a good idea, but your mind starts in with this chirping of, oh, you can't do that. You're not strong enough. You're not smart enough. You're not blah, 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 blah. Shut that down and just say yes, like 2 seconds of courage. Yes, I'm going to do it. Those 2 seconds of courage have gotten me into so many things, and we'll discuss that on another day, I think like in 2 days. But anyway, where the most growth happens. So take the first step. Maybe that's enough for you, just making the choice, and if the first step is enough, you have still gone outside of your comfort zone. That's good. Continue taking that one step until you're sure, and then move on to the next. Stop and rest if you need to. You might even take a few steps back. I have always said that working through grief or any kind of trauma feels like shoveling shit uphill. You take 1 step forward and 2 steps back regularly because it feels so heavy. But, progress is progress. The other important reminder is that you can only conquer one peak at a time. Don't try to change up your entire lifestyle in one fell swoop. You'll only be like setting yourself up for failure. Choose what it is that you feel ready to tackle. Focus on that. So I'm going to give you a solid example. Family sit-down dinners was a ritual for Jeff and I, and it was a feat of enormous proportions. We had, we were working opposite shifts, like I told you. So often getting dinner on the table was done alone. There was only one of us there, and we had an 8-year-old who needed help with his homework, or, different ages, but we had a school-age child who, needed help with his homework, and then 2 babies that were less than 18 months apart, and they just needed a lot of attention and care and tending to. So cooking dinner was like a magic act. You never really knew exactly how it got done, but it did. And then sitting at the table was always fun, because who needed their food cut up, who needed a drink, who wanted to be spoon fed or wanted to spoon feed themselves, food flying off of the high chair onto the floor. If you have kids, you've been there. But somehow we managed, and these are still some of the funniest memories that my kids share. And after Jeff died, we had no schedule. In the weeks immediately following, there was food constantly dropped off at my home. People were so thoughtful and generous. It was always set up so you ate when you could or when you wanted to. And after all of that stopped, I had no routine. Family dinner fell by the wayside and was replaced by simple things: pizza, chicken nuggets in front of the TV. No judging. At least they were fed. That was the goal, right? At least they ate. That didn't last long, though, because I knew they needed a sense of normalcy back in their lives. But the thought of cooking dinner and managing all that chaos seemed insurmountable to me. Baby steps. I began by simply sitting at the table all together at dinner time. Instead of just giving them their food and putting them in front of the TV. We even put a picture of Jeff at his seat. And I don't know, we may have still been ordering pizza, but we were eating it together. Foundations were being built, our new normal was sprouting, and these simple little things. By the end of dinner, I was drained. It wasn't easy. Sometimes I would just throw the dishes in the sink and not even clean them. On the bad days, they stayed on the table. Baby steps. Jeff and I had a system when we were both home. One cooked and one cleaned, and doing it all alone was so hard. And it was just like a reminder that he wasn't here, and I was stuck holding the bag of everything. And if you know me, you know I am not the most domesticated woman, so I hated this part. Eventually, sitting at the table became routine. And sure, there were plenty of days when it was just too hard, simply too hard, and I couldn't do it, and I didn't shame or bash myself. I tried again the next day. Baby steps. Then I started cooking easy, quick meals. This too became easier the more I did it. I finally moved into cooking our regular nutritious meals, and I have a funny story about that, but I'm not going to tell it because I'm already at 20 minutes. But I had climbed the mountain and I was ready for the next one. Although the dinner routine was my focus at the time, there was lots happening in the background, just life, healing, breaking open, sinking, swimming, mistakes, lessons, and this all played into the process. And this is what we'll focus on next. But it all begins with these baby steps. Choose something you need or want to change. Make sure it's something that's weighing on you, that you'll notice the difference when it's lifted. The thing you want to avoid, the demon hanging just over your shoulder, square up with it. Throw the first punch. Take the first step. It doesn't have to be the TKO. It is just enough to keep that demon at bay, to let it know you mean business. One little change that begins with one committed choice. If it's your weight, identify when and what you're eating. Are you self-soothing with food, or are you too busy to cook healthy meals? Maybe you snack in bed. This is my guilty pleasure. Start with that little step. No snacks at bedtime. If you don't exercise, maybe get out of your comfort zone and start. Make it simple. Walk a mile every day. Keep doing that until you never until you no longer even think about it. It's just your routine. This is then your new normal. You will see changes in your mind and in your body. You will trust yourself more. You'll be confident. You'll feel capable of doing more than you ever thought you could do. And of course, you might slip up. Do not shame yourself. Try again tomorrow. One day of going backwards doesn't mean that you failed. It means that you're human. Love yourself enough to try again. Know that you're worth all the effort. Babies don't stop trying to walk because they fall down. We would still, as adults, all be crawling around on our hands and knees. Nope, they get back up and they try again. Baby steps. So I think, we all have different things. We're all in different places. We all have parts of ourselves that need attention and need healing and need to be worked upon. No matter where you are on your journey, this is a process that never ends. So, hone in on that one thing. Hone in on that thing that's like always eating away at you, and take control of it. I read today, and I know it's somebody who follows this. I want to give her credit. She said that shoulds are shame and coulds are choices. So we spend a lot of time sitting around saying, oh, I should do this, I should do that. And all we're doing is beating ourselves up, right? But when we say, I could decide that today, instead of having cake, I'm going to have strawberries. Or instead of laying in my bed, feeling, stuck, I'm going to go outside and go for a walk for 10 minutes. Baby steps. Break it down to the smallest, most manageable thing and do it. That's it. All right. Love you guys. I hope today is filled with baby steps. See you tomorrow.